really no female Viking warriors? The evidence says the story is more complicated. One of the most common claims about the Viking Age is that there were no female warriors and that the idea of shield maidens is nothing more than modern fantasy. While it is true that popular culture has sometimes exaggerated the role of women in Viking warfare, the evidence tells a far more interesting story. The honest answer is not that every Viking army was filled with women. It is that the evidence shows women could hold positions of influence. Some were remembered as warriors, and archaeology has uncovered discoveries that challenge the long-held assumption that warfare was exclusively male. The archaeological evidence. Perhaps the most famous discovery is the Viking grave known as Burka BJ581 in Sweden. When archaeologists first uncovered the grave in the late 19th century, they assumed the individual was male because the burial contained an impressive collection of weapons, 2 horses, and what appeared to be the equipment of a high-ranking warrior or military leader. For more than a century, nobody questioned that assumption. Then DNA analysis published in 2017 revealed something astonishing. The individual was biologically female. This discovery did not prove that every woman fought in battle, nor did it prove that Viking armies contained equal numbers of men and women. What it did prove was something historians had overlooked for generations. Archaeologists had assumed that weapons automatically meant a male burial. The Burka grave forces scholars to consider those assumptions. Whether she was a battlefield commander, a professional warrior, or held another military role, the evidence demonstrates that at least one woman occupied a position closely associated with warfare. Shield maidens in the sagas. The Icelandic sagas contain numerous stories of women taking up arms. Critics often dismiss these accounts as fiction, and it is true that the sagas were written centuries after the Viking Age and contain legendary elements. However, legends often preserve memories of real cultural ideals. If the idea of women warriors had been completely unimaginable to Norse society, it is difficult to explain why these stories became so popular. Lagertha. Perhaps the best known shield maiden is Lagertha, described by the medieval historian Saxo Grammaticus. According to his account, Lagertha fought alongside Ragnar Lothbrok and distinguished herself through remarkable courage in battle. Whether Lagertha herself was historical remains uncertain. But the fact that a medieval writer recorded her story suggests that female warriors were considered believable enough to become part of Norse tradition. Freydis Eriksdotter. Sorry for butchering that. Unlike Lagertha, Freydis is connected to the Vinland sagas. During one encounter with hostile attackers in North America, Freydis is said to have stood her ground after the men retreated. The saga describes her picking up a sword, striking her breast with it, and frightening away the attackers through her fearless display. Even if parts of the story have grown in the telling, Freydis represents the Norse ideal that courage was not limited to men. Hervor. Hervor from the saga of Hervor and Heidrek is another remarkable figure. She dressed as a man, became a warrior, and claimed the enchanted sword Tyrfing from her father's grave. Although clearly legendary, Hervor shows that Norse literature repeatedly imagined women capable of living as warriors and earning fame through combat. Verbog. Verbog is another warrior woman mentioned by Saxo Grammaticus. She is said to have fought in the legendary Battle of Brevlia, alongside other female warriors. Like several figures recorded by Saxo, separating history from legend is difficult. Nevertheless, these stories demonstrate that medieval Scandinavian tradition consistently preserved the image of women participating in warfare. Viking women were not second-class citizens. Another myth is that Viking women had few rights. Compared with many medieval societies, Norse women actually enjoyed remarkable legal freedoms. Women could own property, they could inherit wealth under certain circumstances, they could request divorce if their marriage became abusive or failed. Many managed farms and businesses while their husbands were away trading or raiding. Some women became respected religious leaders known as Velur, whose wisdom was sought by entire communities. This was not modern gender equality. Norse society remained largely patriarchal, and most warriors were almost certainly men. However, Viking women generally possessed more legal rights and social independence than many women in later medieval Europe. Ironically, in several respects, some of these freedoms exceed those available to women during parts of the colonial era centuries later. Women warriors across history. The Vikings were far from unique. History contains many examples of women leading armies or fighting in battles. The British Queen Boudicca led one of the greatest uprisings against the Roman Empire. After Roman officials brutalized her family, she commanded thousands of warriors and came close to driving Rome from Britain. The Scythians, nomadic horse peoples of the Eurasian steppe, buried women with weapons, armour and riding equipment. Many historians believe these women inspired the Greek legends of the Amazons. The Sarmatians also included women trained in mounted combat. In West Africa, the Kingdom of Dame maintained an elite all-female military force admired and feared by European visitors. History repeatedly demonstrates that while male warriors were more common, women have fought whenever circumstances demanded it. So were shield maidens real? The most honest answer is yes, but probably not in the way the television often portrays them. Archaeology confirms that at least some Viking women occupied roles associated with warfare. The sagas preserve numerous traditions of female warriors. Historical sources describe women fighting in battle. At the same time, the evidence does not suggest that shield maidens made up a large proportion of Viking armies. Instead, they were likely exceptional individuals whose bravery earned them lasting fame. Conclusion. History is rarely as simple as always or never. Saying there were no female Viking warriors ignores archaeological discoveries, dismisses medieval sources, and overlooks the wider history of women in warfare around the world. The Vikings remembered women like Legafa, Freydis, Hervor, and Verbog because courage was one of the highest Norse virtues. Whether on the battlefield, on the farm, or leading a household through harsh winters, strength was respected wherever it was found. The evidence does not support the claim that every Viking woman carried a shield, but neither does it support the claim that no Viking women ever did. As with so much of history, the truth lies between myth and certainty, and is far more fascinating than either extreme. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, hit the like, and if you're new to the channel, then please do subscribe, because it'd be great to have you with us. Until next time, take care and be well. Skál.